topic that I think we're all kind of obsessed with these days.
Let me guess. Time management. Organization.
You got it, productivity. But get this, we're exploring it through the lens of faith this time.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the source material we're looking at?
It's a book called The Quranic Approach to Productivity.
Interesting. I'm already curious to see how they bring those two worlds together.
Right. The book is specifically designed for, well, us, Muslims who really want to excel, without compromising their faith.
I like it. So no guilt trips for not having a perfectly organized prayer space and a color-coded to-do list?
Not at all. It's actually really refreshing. The author blends modern productivity techniques, think like the Pomodoro method.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
With Islamic principles to create this system for what they call divine productivity. So cool.
I like how that sounds. Divine productivity. It's definitely a fresh take on the whole productivity craze.
Right. Like, it really makes you think, this isn't just about, squeezing in more tasks or checking things off a list.
It's bigger than that.
Exactly. It's about shifting your whole perspective on productivity through the lens of faith.
And I'm guessing that's where the Quran comes in.
You know it. One of the core ideas the book emphasizes is that time, it isn't just something to be, managed or hacked. It's a divine gift.
True.
And that reminded me of Surah Allah's.
Where Allah swears by time.
Yeah, exactly. It talks about how time is fleeting, how it's constantly slipping away from us. And, a lot of productivity methods out there, they stress that too.
It's true. Time is the one resource you can never get more of.
Right. But what I loved about how the book framed it was it's not just about being, efficient with your time. It's about using that time as a blessing, as a way to nurture both your worldly aspirations
and your spiritual growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance.
Which is something we talk about a lot in Islam, right?
Yeah.
The balance between this world, the dunya.
And the hereafter, the akhirah.
Exactly. And you know what's amazing? Islam already gives us this beautiful framework for maintaining that balance.
Wait, are you talking about?
The 5 daily prayers.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's mind-blowing when you really think about it. It's like having this built-in productivity system.
Totally. And it's not about trying to squeeze your entire day around these prayers. It's the rhythm. They create the rhythm of your day.
It's so true. They provide this natural structure, these breaks throughout the day where you're forced to, pause.
The book actually calls it Sala Pomodoro. Instead of setting those random timer intervals you often see in productivity techniques.
You're letting your prayer times guide you.
Yeah. Each prayer becomes this chance to not just pause whatever you're doing, but to reconnect with your intentions.
Yeah.
And re-energize your focus.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Exactly.
It kind of reminds me of how athletes train, interval training.
Oh, yeah. Short bursts of intense activity.
Yes. Followed by rest. And that leads to, greater endurance overall.
I see the connection. So instead of, fighting against the natural flow of your day.
You're working with it.
You got it. You're incorporating these mindful breaks into your routine. And speaking of mindfulness, this leads us to another cool thing. The book delves into prioritizing tasks.
Okay, but here's the twist. They do it through this really insightful Islamic framework.
Oh, now I'm really interested. Tell me more about that.
So picture this. You're looking at your to-do list, right? But instead of just asking yourself, what's the most urgent thing I need to get done, or what's going to take the least amount of time, you ask yourself, what aligns with my values as a Muslim?
Wow. That's a really different approach.
Right. And what's going to bring me closer to Allah?
It's about aligning your actions with your faith.
Exactly. It completely changes how you look at that to-do list.
So how does this Islamic framework actually work?
So the book breaks it down into 4 levels of prioritization.
4 levels.
Yeah. So at the very top, you have your fard actions, your non-negotiables.
Like the obligatory acts of worship.
Exactly.
Prayer, fasting, things like that.
Yep. Then you've got mustahab. These are the recommended acts that, while they're not mandatory, they're still incredibly beneficial.
Okay, so things that bring you closer to Allah, even if you're not, required to do them.
You got it.
Gotcha. So what are the other 2 levels?
All right, so then you have halal,
The
the permissible activities. And honestly, this probably makes up the majority of our day-to-day lives.
Sure, like going for a walk, cooking a meal.
Yeah. And then lastly, you have makruh and haram.
Which are actions that are disliked or outright forbidden, right?
Exactly.
So things we're trying to stay away from.
Yes. And what I love about this framework is It's not just about categorizing every single thing you do. It makes you think about why you're doing those things in the first place.
It's like this filter for your entire life, almost.
Right. It's not just a to-do list. It's more like a roadmap for aligning your actions, everything you do, with your faith.
I love that. So it's not just about what we do, but also our intentions behind doing them.
Exactly. Our niyyah, right?
Yes. And speaking of Nia, that leads us to another really cool aspect, Finder. The book dives into goal setting,
hmm
but of course with that Islamic twist.
Okay, so I have to admit, when I first heard Islamic goal setting, I was like, huh, but they actually make it so relevant.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about their approach.
Well, they take that SMART goals framework, the whole specific, measurable, achievable,
Right. I've heard of that.
and they infuse it with Islamic principles.
Interesting. So, like, what does that look like in practice? How do they connect SMART goals with Islam?
So take specific, for example. It's not just about making your goals like clear and well-defined,
Which is important, of course.
of course, but they take it a step further. It's also about aligning your goals with your niyyah, your intention. So it's like before you even start thinking about what you want to achieve.
You have to ask yourself why you're pursuing it in the first place.
Exactly. Is it purely for like personal gain, worldly success? Or is there a deeper, more spiritual motivation behind it? Are you doing this to please Allah, to benefit others?
It's like constantly checking your compass, making sure you're headed in the right direction.
I love that analogy. It's so true
Yeah.
because you can get so caught up in, I need to achieve this, I need to hit that target, that you forget to ask yourself if it even matters in the grand scheme of things.
Especially in the eyes of Allah.
Exactly.
And then, even the measurable part of SMART goals that takes on a whole new meaning when you view it through this Islamic lens. Because it's not just about, quantifiable results.
Right, like how many sales did you make or how many followers you gained on social media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's also about measuring your own internal growth, your character development. Are you becoming a better Muslim along the way? More patient, more compassionate, more generous?
It's not just about the destination, it's about the journey, who you become along the way.
Exactly. Which, again, ties back to the importance of intentionality in everything we do. And then there's the whole aspect of setting achievable goals. And here, the book emphasizes the Islamic principle of gradual, consistent improvement. Striving for excellence, but also understanding that it's a process.
It's about taking those baby steps, right? Like instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight.
You focus on making small, sustainable changes over time. And they actually quote this beautiful hadith in the book. The most beloved of deeds to Allah are those that are consistent, even if they are small.
I love that. It reminds me of the power of compounding. Have you ever heard of that?
With, like, investing.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you consistently invest even small amounts of money over a long period of time, it can grow exponentially.
Right, because of compound interest.
Exactly. And it's the same with our actions, our deeds. Small, consistent acts of worship, good deeds, they can lead to tremendous spiritual growth over time.
It's like planting a seed and nurturing it patiently. Eventually, it will blossom into something beautiful.
I like that. So we've talked about specific, memorable, achievable. What about the relevant part of SMART goals? How does that fit into this Islamic framework?
That's where things get really interesting. So the book talks about how in Islam, our goals shouldn't just be about ourselves, our own personal gain or fulfillment.
We're supposed to consider the well-being of others, too.
Exactly. Our families, our communities, the umma as a whole. So when setting goals, we're encouraged to think about how those goals can benefit not just ourselves, but also those around us.
So it's like this ripple effect.
Exactly. Your success is intertwined with the well-being of those around you.
It's that whole idea of interconnectedness, right? That we're all in this together.
Precisely.
Okay, so that leaves us with time-bound, the T in SMART. What's their take on that?
This is where they bring in this beautiful concept of tawakkul, trusting in Allah's plan. So yes, it's important to set deadlines, to have a plan.
To not be, like, lazy about it.
Exactly. But it's also about recognizing that ultimately Allah is in control.
And that sometimes his timing is different from our own.
Exactly. We might have all these meticulously crafted plans, these timelines.
And then life happens.
Exactly. And that's okay. We trust in his wisdom, his timing.
So it's about finding that balance between striving, planning, but also surrendering to his will.
Perfectly said.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of challenges, unexpected obstacles, that leads us to one of the most powerful themes in the book,
Which is
the role of sabr and productivity.
you mean like patience?
Yeah. But it's more than just, enduring hardship with a smile. Sabr is about having this unwavering faith in Allah's plan.
Mm.
Even when things are tough, when you're facing trials, when you're feeling like completely overwhelmed.
You trust that he knows what's best.
Yes, and you keep going, knowing that there's a reason for everything. And what I love is how the book connects this idea of sabr to productivity.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, achieving any goal, it takes effort, it takes dedication,
Right.
and it definitely tests your patience.
There are going to be setbacks. You're going to hit roadblocks. You're going to want to give up.
Exactly.
Mm.
And that's where sabr comes in.
Mm.
It's that inner strength, that unwavering commitment to your goals that allows you to persevere and ultimately succeed.
It's like that saying, it's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how many times you get back up.
Exactly. And the book even shares this really inspiring story of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, demonstrating sabr in the face of incredible adversity.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, I don't want to spoil the whole story, but let's just say his life was full of challenges. He faced rejection, persecution, even physical harm.
But he never lost faith.
Never. He remained steadfast, patient, and trusting in Allah's plan. And ultimately, he achieved extraordinary things.
He's like the ultimate example of sabr in action.
Right. And I think that's such a powerful reminder for us today,
Yeah.
Because life is tough. We all go through trials. We all face obstacles. But it's those moments, those challenging moments, that can actually become opportunities for incredible spiritual growth.
If we approach them with the right mindset, with sabr.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's about shifting our perspective from why me to what can I learn from this?
And how can I grow from this experience?
Exactly. And when I think about the whole message of this book, it boils down to this. True productivity isn't just about checking things off a list.
Yeah.
It's not about how much you get done or how efficiently you manage your time. It's about aligning every aspect of your life, your goals, your actions, your intentions, with your faith, your purpose as a Muslim.
It's about approaching everything you do with this deep-rooted understanding that your time, your energy, your talents, they're all gifts from Allah.
Beautiful.
And that you're accountable for how you use them. It's not just about like racking up achievements,
Yeah,
It's about the why behind everything we do.
absolutely. The book talks about finding that balance,
Yeah.
balancing this life, the dunya.
But the hereafter, the akhirah.
Yes, it reminds us that they're not mutually exclusive,
Yeah.
Your worldly pursuits and your faith. They can actually, complement each other.
They can work together.
Exactly. And that's where I think this whole idea of seeing our work as a form of worship comes in.
As ibadah.
Yes. I love how they highlight this one hadith in the book. Let me see if I can remember it. Okay, here it is. Whoever seeks the world lawfully, to refrain from begging, to cater for his family, and to be kind to his neighbor, will meet Allah with his face shining like the full moon.
Wow. That's powerful.
Right. It shows that even our everyday grind, the stuff we might think of as just mundane tasks.
It can be a source of blessing.
And this is key, if our intentions are pure.
If we're doing it for the right reasons.
Exactly. It's not just about what we're doing, but why we're doing it.
So it's not like we have to choose between, worldly success and spiritual fulfillment.
Not at all. They can go hand in hand.
When we approach our work, our families, everything we do with the right intention, seeking Allah's pleasure, wanting to benefit others, our efforts, they're elevated.
They become a form of worship.
It's really amazing when you think about it.
It is. It's like this shift in perspective, from just going through the motions, trying to get things done.
You're approaching everything with this sense of purpose.
Yes.
With intentionality.
Like even something as simple as, responding to emails or cooking dinner.
It could be an act of worship.
If you're doing it with the right intention.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on the Quranic approach to productivity, I want to leave everyone with a question, something to really sit with and reflect on. And it's this: how can we, in our own lives, infuse our actions with that intention, with that purpose? How can we transform even the most, ordinary tasks, those everyday things we do?
Into acts of worship. Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that true productivity, it's not just about the what, it's about the how. It's about seeking Allah's pleasure in all that we do. And on that note, until next time.